Hi there, I am Claudia Weiskettle and I am a living kidney donor. I recently donated my kidney on June 25th this year, 2025. So just about 3 weeks post-op, the time I'm making this video, and I'm here today to talk about my experience, a little bit about myself, what motivated me to be a living donor. So I'm gonna get into it. Like I said, my name's Claudia. I am 30 years old. I am originally from New York, but after moving around a little bit after college, I served in the military. So, lived all kinds of different places, but I'm since out and settled in Virginia. Which is where I am today. But I kind of want to go back to college because that's where my inspiration and knowledge about organ donation really started. So I went to Marist College in Poughkeepsie, New York, and the first day of freshman year is where I met my inspiration and best friend, Taylor Rose. Taylor and I were assigned as freshman year roommates, and she's really played a big role in who I am today and was a big motivator for this journey that I've been on. Taylor's kindness and lovingness and just joyful attitude were contagious, and it's impossible to know someone like that and not take a little bit of piece of that away with you. So Taylor and I became really close friends in a short amount of time. However, things started to change our sophomore year. Taylor started to get really sick and wasn't doing too well and ended up leaving college to go back home with her family on Long Island while she figured out what may be causing these medical issues and just take some time away from school. I won't get into it too much here, but there were some series of medical events that ended up with Taylor being in the hospital and previously healthy young woman being diagnosed and being put on an LVAD, which is a left ventricular assist device, supporting her while she waited a heart transplant that would save her life. And so during this time, my other friend Lindsay and I would go to the hospital and visit with Taylor and her family while she waited for this life-saving surgery. And Lindsay and I were actually visiting one day when Taylor's care team came in and told her that they had a heart for her. So on April 20th of 2016, Taylor received that life-saving heart transplant, and it was amazing to see her come back full of life after that. My friend who had been sick for months and months on end and in the hospital, living at the hospital on this, hooked up to this device, was herself again, and she was strong very shortly after and doing well and bubbly and full of spirit. And seeing that and the beauty of organ donation was really, really inspirational. Taylor went on to graduate from college. She went to a college that was closer to her hometown so she could have the support of her family. She thrived there. She was the editor of the school newspaper, herself working in journalism. This was a really big deal. She had a competitive internship, and also throughout this time, Taylor was promoting organ donation and spreading awareness and sharing her story and speaking at events with tons of people. And it was amazing to see my best friend be able to do all this and which was a crazy and scary experience, and help others along the way. Things changed again, however. Taylor was sick again and went through many complications, and unfortunately July 9th of 2021, she did pass from this physical earth. I'll never forget, I received a call from Lindsay, who I mentioned before. I was in Iraq at the time on deployment. She gave me the news. Taylor was a true angel and was a organ donor in her passing, saving multiple lives and being an angel to many throughout. So fast forward to this year, and now we're in 2025. March, I received a message on social media on Instagram from someone named Christian, and he reached out to me because he also went to Marist. He recognized me, we had some mutual friends, and he saw that I had the Donate Life link on my bio, which is an organization that works with organ donation, spreading awareness, and enabling people to be registered organ donors. And I had that on there from back when Taylor was promoting organ donation and working with Donate Life and other organizations. And said, hey, are you also, I see you at Demarest and I recognize you. Are you also waiting for an organ transplant? And I was like, no, I'm fine. But I told him about Taylor and my experience with her. And he actually knew her, not well, but Christian was our same year at Marist and they were in some clubs together. And he had heard about her story while in school. Christian explained to me that he had a similar situation where he got sick in college and ended up leaving sophomore year. Because he was in kidney failure, was now currently, on the list to try to receive a transplant. We talked and got to know each other virtually, and I was really interested in Christian's story and just started reading up on the National Kidney Registry and living donation specifically. I was pretty familiar with organ donation in passing and signing up to be a registered organ donor, but didn't really know much about living donation. After researching the facts, looking at the mortality rate, which is like 1 in over 11,000, which is like significantly less likely than a bunch of other things like choking on food or having an automobile accident. It's extremely rare, so it's obviously a risk, but generally safe procedure. And started looking into other things about it and how a kidney from a living donor is almost twice as viable. It can, last in the recipient for about twice as long compared to a deceased one. So originally, I learned about Christian's story just for support and to maybe spread some awareness about it. But after learning these facts and learning the outcome, not just a great outcome for the recipient, but also as a potential donor, I decided to move forward with getting tested just to see, if I could even do something like this. So, went through and did the initial workup and ended up going to New York, where I chose my transplant center to do this full workup. It was a lot of labs, like blood work and urine tests and scans, but I liked that. They don't just like let anyone donate a kidney. They're like, okay, we're gonna make sure you're really healthy before we even can. And that's when I met Christian for the first time. I went up from Virginia to New York for the initial workup, did my stuff, and we met and got pizza. Had to when you're in New York, nowhere else is nearly as good. And that's when I kind of solidified that, hey, if I'm eligible, I want to move forward with this and try to donate. I'm normally not someone who believes in science or anything like that. I know Taylor's looking out for me. So thankfully, I was approved to be an organ donor. However, I was not a match for Christian specifically. We were just incompatible blood types. I mean, it's more than just like your blood type, like A or O. I do a ton of tests to make sure that that person will receive your kidney and not reject it. So I decided to move forward with the Voucher program, which is where I was able to donate to a stranger. And then Christian, as the person I'm donating for, has that voucher. So he's priority to receive a kidney from a different living donor who is compatible medically. I think that was almost more beautiful in a way because kind of starting a chain. It's helping more people. So I'm helping someone, I don't even know. And he's getting help. I love that exists, that, the technology to match people like that and start that kind of chain. So that's the path that I did. And like I said before, I'm 3 weeks post-op right now, and I'm doing great. I got 3 weeks off of work. I start back up tomorrow. But some people are like, oh, that's crazy. And I think it's because organ donation isn't really talked about, especially living donation. And lack of knowledge is scary, right? If we don't know about it, it sounds scary. And not saying it's not without risks. It's a major procedure. But when you really look at it and you start to learn the facts and, the mortality rate and benefit long-term after my initial recovery of not being able to really work out for 4 weeks, but long term, I can work out. I can keep lifting my weights and running and doing anything active other than maybe not playing football or wrestling, which I promised you I was not planning to do anyways. Live a pretty normal life and then have a normal healthy diet, which we should do anyways, and drink alcohol in moderation. Other than that, if that's my trade-off, to extend someone else's life, the choice was pretty clear, and I am beyond grateful that I have the health and resources and support to be able to do this. I've had a ton of support through this process, which has enabled me to be able to donate. So like I said, I've been out of work for the past 3 weeks. That was approved, and from like the legal standpoint and all that, Donor Shield took care of my lost wages, which read the article I wrote if you're interested in learning more about that. But also my team at work was so supportive. My fellow project manager, I worked at McKesson Medical Surgical as a project manager. My boss, Dione, she was incredible and so supportive. I told her very early on in the process that I was looking at this, and I could potentially be out of work for 2 to 4 weeks, and there was nothing but encouragement and support, and I'm extremely thankful for that. Also for my family, my mom was at the hospital with me and drove into New York City, which is not easy. The rest of my family were extremely supportive, my siblings, my father, and then my friends, not just friends I knew from college who knew Taylor were obviously super supportive of my friends here in Richmond. And then from all walks of life, even the Army or other areas, or maybe old friends or acquaintances just reaching out and being supportive. And I think having that love and support from so many different areas was really, really, really nice, and I'm very thankful for that. And then my boyfriend Fuzz was also extremely helpful in caring for me and loving me through this time. Who I mentioned before, she's the first person I told who was thinking about this. I'm like, am I crazy? Because I was worried. I was scared that some people would think I'm crazy for wanting to do this. And she was like, no. That's amazing. And then to Taylor's family, the Clarkes, Laura and Jack, her parents, and her sister Sam, for loving me both when we were in college and I knew Taylor, and throughout then and throughout this. I'm very grateful for that connection and love. And so again, the point of this video is to share my experience. I'm sure everyone's experience is different with anything. I'm not saying you have to go out and donate a kidney right now, but read about it, look at it, because I think, with knowledge is power, with knowledge is understanding and less fear. And I think the National Kidney Registry and Donor Shield programs do a really good job of making it easier on the donor. It's not as scary as it seems. I could get into the stats all day. Look at me. 3 weeks post-op. I'm feeling pretty good. Thank you for listening. Yeah, if anyone has questions, I'm on social media. My Instagram is my first name _ last name, so Claudia _ Weiskittle. It's spelled in my Instagram bio or the article here. Please reach out, message me if you have any questions about organ donation, if you want to share a story of your own, or just to say hi. Thank you, and I'm just going to say again, always thinking of her and thankful for the journey she helped lead me down.